wanted more than anything else in the world, I guess, was a guitar. And when I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old, I saw an ad on the back of a cousin of mine's comic book. And it said, kids, win big prizes. And one of those prizes was a guitar. I'd never seen a real guitar before. The only thing I'd seen about a guitar was when my grandmother would take me to see the movies. Gene Autry and Roy Rogers. A lot of times Gene and Roy at the end of their show, their movie, they'd pick up a guitar and they'd sing and play. And it always fascinated me. I always wanted to be able to do that. So I sent off a coupon off of the back of the comic book and said I had to sell seeds, garden seeds and flower seeds. And said, oh, I could do that. But it was rather difficult because I lived out in the country and almost everybody I knew was a farmer. But I managed to do it. I sold seeds to everyone, even friends and relatives. I even got a music teacher at school to buy one who came back once a month because she thought it was fascinating that I was interested in music, and she bought 2 packets of seeds. Well, I sold enough seeds and I sent away, and sure enough, they sent me my guitar. It was a beautiful thing. It was only about so big, but on it had pictures of cowboys and Indians, and it was just awesome, you know. And it had a little booklet with it, a little booklet with songs in it, you know, like Home on the Range and Red River Valley and things like that. And I tried to play it, but I never was very good at it, you know. And then one summer, I was out playing in the yard, and our front yard was red clay, and Mama would sweep it clean, you know, and I would be out there playing. And we lived on a road that did not have asphalt on it. It was a dirt road, and I was be out there playing, and I was riding my bicycle, and I could see down the road, I could see two people coming, and I thought I knew it was some boys from school, so I quickly hid my bicycle because, you see, I rode a girl's bicycle. A 9-year-old boy never, ever wants to be seen on a girl's bicycle. But you see, we were very poor, and for my father to buy me a new bicycle was out of the question. So he had this old bicycle that belonged to one of his nieces, and he took it and he painted it a bright blue color and everything, and gave it to me. And it was a good bike to ride. It was just a girl's bicycle. Well, I saw these guys coming down the road, and I quickly hid my bicycle, and soon they were right there in the yard. And it was Joe and Larry. They were from the Davidson family. Mr. Davidson was a big farmer close by, and they had these brand new bicycles. I mean, they were what you call English touring bicycles with skinny tires, and they had handbrakes, and they had controls for the speeds, 3 speeds on them. I had never seen one before, except I'd seen pictures of them in Sears and Roebuck catalog. I knew what they were. Well, Joe and Larry came up and started talking for a bit, and I wanted to show them my new guitar. So I went inside and I grabbed it and I brought it out and I showed it to him and said, look what I got, you know, I got a guitar. And Joe looked at Larry, and Larry looked back at him, and they both burst into laughter. I didn't really understand why they were laughing. And they looked at me and said, that's not a real guitar. And I said, what do you mean it's not a real guitar? That's a toy guitar. It's not even made of wood. It's made of some sort of cardboard or something. That's not a real guitar. And they continued to laugh. About that time, I heard a sound behind me, the sound of a horse and cart. And I looked around, and it was old Theo. He was an old man who lived not so far away in a little one-room shack all alone. And he sometimes did farm work around. I thought maybe that he'd been doing some farm work up the road at Mr. Steeples. And I heard him come by, and he was very old. His hair was like cotton, puffs of cotton, and his skin was like ebony. But his face, you could tell he was probably a direct descendant of some king on that far-off dark continent that we studied about in school. And he stopped right behind me, and he climbed down off of his cart, and he looked over at me and said, Mars Tony, "What's wrong here?" And I said, Mr. Theo, these boys are laughing at me about my guitar. And Joe punched Larry and said, "Psst, did you hear that? He called that black man Mister." Well, I didn't think anything about it because Mom and Dad always taught me that I should respect my elders, and they never said anything about what color they needed to be. Well, Theo got down from the cart and said, "Let me see that box, Mars Tony." And I handed him the guitar. And he twisted the pegs a little bit and twisted the pegs a little bit more. And he went over and he sat down on this old stump of a big oak tree we had in the big front yard. And Mama was always afraid it was going to fall on the house in a thunderstorm, so Daddy cut it down. He picked up the little guitar and he put it across his knee, and he wrapped his big, long fingers around the neck. In his other hand, he started to pluck the strings. And the music was like that, of something I had never seen before. It was so very, very beautiful. I'm sure if there are angels in heaven, that they would have started to sing to that beautiful music. I looked back over to the house and I saw Mama. She was behind the screen door with my new baby brother on her hip, and I thought my Mama was right pretty, and Daddy always said she was pretty too, and she had on a brand new print dress. I'd been with Daddy down at the feed store when we picked out those bags of hog feed that had that nice little flower print. He knew Mama would like that. She had made a new dress right out of it. Right beside her was old Aunt Cindy. I could barely see her in the dark except for the whites of her eyes. She was helping Mama out a few days with the new baby. Well, old Theo played a while longer, then he reached into his pocket and he pulled something out, and it was short and shiny, and it looked like a piece of glass. It looked like the neck off a bottle, like maybe a Lucky Tiger hair tonic bottle or something like that, and he slipped it on his finger. And I said, "Mr. Theo, what you doing now?" And he says, "I'm going to make this skit fiddle cry, Mars Tony." And he did. He slid that slide up and down that handle, and the guitar made some of the moanest, saddest sounds I'd ever heard. I looked toward the house and I heard old Aunt Cindy tell Mama, say, "Miss Helen, that's what they call the blues." I think Mama's about to break a tear too. Well, he played a little while longer and then he gave it back to me, climbed on his cart, and he rode away. The boys that were laughing at me didn't laugh anymore. As a matter of fact, they said they believed that their Mama was looking for them and they better hurry home. Well, I don't know whatever happened to old Cleo. That's been 50, 60 years ago now. And I never learned how to play the guitar. But I'll always remember that day when I thought I heard the angels sing.